Coming to this seventh and the last tool in this series of 7 basic quality tools, which is stratification. Stratification means breaking down the data into categories so that you can make sense out of that. Number of times you have a data which is mixture of many things. And if you look at that, you really don't make a good sense of that unless you break that into small pieces. If you remember earlier, when we talked about water bottle problems, we talked about loose cap, we talked about wrong labels, we thought that these are two big issues. Because in that case, the first thing which we did was we made a check sheet where we recorded what sort of problem we have with each of these bottles, and then we plotted a Pareto chart. Based on that Pareto chart, we concluded that there are two main problems. If we solve the problem of loose cap and wrong labels, that will eliminate 72% of the problems. That's what we thought by looking at the Pareto chart. But what we missed there was that we were looking at the joint number of 3 different types of bottles. We had a bottle of 300 milliliter, we had a bottle of 500 milliliter, we had a bottles of 1000 milliliters, and we looked at the combined data. Based on that only we plotted this Pareto chart. If you don't remember that, go and look at that Pareto chart example and then come back here. So the point here is that stratification helps us in breaking down that. Rather than looking at the big picture, now you need to break that into number of pieces. You look at the Pareto chart individually for each of these different types of bottles, because each type of bottle might have a different set of problems. So that's what we do in stratification. That when data is coming from multiple sources, multiple categories, multiple suppliers, multiple machines, you don't look at that as a joint data. You might have to break that separately so that you can look at each supplier separately, you can look at each machine separately rather than looking at the combined data. Let's go to the next slide and look at that example of water bottle where we segregated the Pareto chart which we made for that water bottle problems into 3 separate Pareto charts. So there we will have a better picture of what sort of a problem we have with different types of bottles. Let's move on to the next slide and look at that Pareto chart.